Sometimes when you stand up, you stand alone.
Welcome to Run It Back. I'm Alysia Montaño. Today, I'm joined by someone who has spent nearly 3 decades caring for athletes at every level. Dr. Chang, welcome to Run It Back.
Thank you for having me here today.
Thank you so much. I love spending time with you. I just want to get that out of the way. We go way back. I want to start with just how we met. And I want to run it back to the University of Berkeley and how you ended up on that campus, what it looked like running into systems that didn't necessarily include women at the top.
Going from Ohio State University, where I was a team physician, to UC Berkeley as a head team physician was a shocker because the resources were definitely different. They had just combined the men's and women's programs 3 years prior. And so there was a lot of mistrust between the two, the women's athletics and the men's athletics. And you had providers, athletic trainers who had never cared for a woman athlete suddenly being in the same training room and vice versa.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of trust that had to be built up. And it was great for me because I love building programs and I love building relationships and I love really getting people to work together as a team. But it was hard to do it with so little. And I was the only team physician hired by the university versus at Ohio State University, medical center, lots of team doctors, a lot of support. I felt like I was on an island. And I was the only woman primary care sports medicine physician in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
So really had no mentors.
Let's take it back a little bit further about just like your childhood, growing up, and like where, you know, you saw opportunity and seizing it and just continuing to show up in rooms and looking at adversity, but also understanding maybe some background and where your parents came from.
We were bullied as kids, being in a really predominantly Caucasian neighborhood, right? We were the only Chinese people, and my brother, who's 13 months older than me, would get teased and they would steal his hat on the playground, and I would be the one charging after them to beat them up because it wasn't right, you know, whereas my brother was a little bit more reserved, etc. But my dad was always also like, stand up for what's right. And he bucked a little bit of the traditional Chinese thing. Like, he left China. He was expected in Taiwan to follow into his dad's footsteps and go into his engineering firm, but he knew there was corruption there. That's why he left his parents. That's why he left his family in Taiwan and came to the United States. And I think I follow in my dad's footsteps from that perspective. So I've never been oh, thank you so much. I've never been that type of person. I just haven't. And it has hurt me, but career-wise at times. But on the other hand, I have never lost a night's sleep because I feel like I behaved not authentically, not representing the athletes and the people that I'm here to take care of.
Let's dig a little bit deeper into that, you know, because you're coming into, like you mentioned, an ecosystem where you had to build trust, but also being the first woman to be in the room.
I was the first woman sideline team physician on the football sideline. But I had team physicians say to me, oh, well, our athlete's probably not going to be comfortable with you doing a general urinary exam on him. I'm like, I'm a healthcare professional. Right? And so there were a lot of barriers from that perspective that I had to prove myself. And I got a lot of, you're mothering the athletes. Like, would any male physician have ever heard you're fathering the athletes? Like, what does that mean? Right? The other thing would be, what was that? Oh, you never played football. You never played. And I'm like, and I would say, you never let me, right?
For our listeners, do you want to give a little bit of insight, just run it back to the 2012 Olympics?
When I gave feedback, and I said to the rest of the providers, right, my colleagues in the Wellbone, I said we have to be very honest with our feedback in terms of the leadership here and how we feel like it can improve.
Yeah.
And the feedback I got from my colleagues were, well, if I give that feedback and I'm honest, I'll never be invited to a games again. A lot of people like to be at the Olympics. They like the gear. They, you know, it helps their practices.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
But I gave that honest feedback,
Yeah.
and I never worked another Olympics again. Sometimes when you stand up, you stand alone.
I don't know. I think that's what makes you really special. The way that you are operating is like, I know this to be true in a way that isn't like I'm pretending it's true, like some people, just so that they're right. People gravitate towards you. I gravitate towards you and how I see my care. You know, you're someone who's supported my continuing of my career. I know what it feels like to be cared for holistically. I've also been in rooms where I don't feel cared for in how I'm trying to show up. And I want to go back into that because I heard you mention how your kids see you and them pushing you into this role that felt like, man, how am I going to take this on as well? And I want to walk back a little bit into what that experience was like for you when you became a mother in your professional career as, you know.
When I stepped away as a head team physician in 2013, I did it because kids were entering middle school.
Yeah.
They saw that we had these outside passions as well as our jobs and realized that it's not just about a job to make money, it's about a job to make a difference.
Yes. Woo!
Yeah.
That's going to be my quote. You know, knowing that there's been such a too big of a health gap in terms of a disparity in terms of women's research and how we support women in sports. I want to talk a little bit about what you've learned, what you know, and how we can look at women's health in sports differently. And then also run it back to youth sports and what we're seeing now in youth sports and how you think that we should make some changes and what we should keep.
We know that there are changes that we can make. We just need the proper investment in it. We need women researchers, honestly, right, who care about the fact, because for so many years, I know this, being in academia for as long as I have been, is it was too hard to do a study with women because they have hormones.
Oh, gosh. One thing athletes should stop doing immediately.
Being ashamed of their bodies.
Amazing. One myth about sports injuries you wish you could make disappear.
Girls are weaker.
Ooh. We're done. We're done here. Mic drop.
It starts with attitudes. We have to change the attitudes about that and help them not drop out of sport.
Okay, you heard it here. Change your attitude. That's what Dr. Chang said. I agree. Thank you so much for running it back with us. We appreciate you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
I have to bring
Reputation.
all these people back because I need to just
know.
hang on youth sports specifically and like that trajectory for girl and women athletes because there's so much more to say. We don't have like enough time to talk about like what we're experiencing right now.